It's also so funny for a devout atheist to be calling Christians ridiculous and hypocritical, because being an atheist, I would argue, is just as ridiculous and hypocritical.
I think it depends.
As opposed to being an agnostic. I have to specify that. I don't think that there is a God, but I also don't know anything.
Yeah, and I think that is the dictionary definition of atheism.
Maybe.
And I also think...
we were talking about this the other night.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Maher's one of those guys.
Okay.
Because you do get those guys.
Yeah, you really do.
Like, religiously know God.
Yeah.
They think they're cool.
They think they know things.
Yeah, they think that, like, physics has disproven the possibility of a God.
Yeah,
which
we
is
don't know shit about
fundamentally
physics.
Undisprovable. There will always be the possibility of a God.
And we're always finding out new shit about the universe that we had no idea about.
So. Atheism literally, it's atheism phonetically, which literally just means you're not a theist.
Yeah.
A theist is somebody who believes in a spiritual deity. They don't necessarily believe in the Christian God, but you believe in God, you believe in Allah, you believe in one God that was the creator of the universe and preceded all life and stuff like that. So if you're
So it's an atheist as opposed to a non-theist, or like an anti-theist.
Yes.
An anti-theist would be like somebody who's like, there is no God.
Like, there's definitely no
Yes.
God. Like, I believe that there's no God as much as a Christian. And in all fairness, belief in God, like, if you're a Christian, doesn't necessarily mean you would say, and I think most Christians wouldn't say, I'm 100% sure that God exists.
No, a lot of them say belief is a choice. Faith is a choice.
Right, and so...
And it's hard for a lot of them, too. Norm Macdonald was a big proponent of how faith is a choice you make, and it's extremely hard.
It is a choice.
Yeah.
And we have faith in all kinds of different aspects in our life.
Yeah, and we have faith in science. It's all theories still, technically.
Yeah, certainly some aspects of science.
I mean, it's got to be everything, because considering if we lived in a simulation...
This is true.
Like, all of it would be based on fake information.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe not in the sense that the difference with science is that science can be... There are things that we can very accurately... Well, things we can completely predict with the rules of mathematics and physics.
Yes.
So, to me, it seems
far.
like that is a truth of a kind. Now, if we were in a simulation, the laws of physics and mathematics, kind of like a code, you could change the code at any time.
And also, we would be like, we'd think that, it's because atoms interact this way, but it's really just like binary code.
Right.
But on its true fundamental
while a code is fixed, I feel like it is real, so to speak, or it does work.
Yeah.
Like, you can change the code, but that doesn't mean that the original code
wasn't accurate at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel the difference between science and religion, because there's a lot of cult-like conspiracy theorists who will try to say that, physicists are just as ridiculous as religious people. And I think it's just important to outline that key difference.
Yeah.
That good science, and there's some bullshit science. There are people who try to make claims that we're not anywhere close to proving. We're not close to proving that there are parallel universes or that string theory works. But
we're pretty close.
Yeah, we're fairly close.
So this gets into quantum computers. Quantum computers calculate they make calculations in their binary code.
Yeah.
Instead of using transistors that are in computers, like a computer's made up of billions of transistors that are part of like the motherboard and shit. That's where all the binary code is conducted within each little transistor. Quantum computers use atoms.
Yes.
As that transistor. The smallest particle that you can use.
Fascinating.
So it packs
they can just
that
do
much...
way more computation.
It's got that much more computational power in it.
Yeah.
It's going to make, like, in-person science... Like, the practice of, like, let me do a chemistry experiment, it's going to make that moot. It's all going to be simulated.
Yeah, there are sci-fi stories and stuff that have been written about quantum. Because if you had a quantum computer, you could do things like hack into people's bank accounts very easily.
There will be no code anymore.
Right.
It'll all be breakable.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, this Michio Kaku dude, who's on Rogan and shit a lot, he thinks that it's going to be 10 years. Until we perfect the quantum computer.
I don't know how much I buy. I mean, again, I don't want to attack him individually, but there's just science. Like, there's
always conflicting theories.
There's a famous trope of prominent scientists that they love to make predictions and profit off of their predictions.
Yeah.
Right? And they're so you'll get one scientist who's all about like, oh yeah, this is for sure what's going to happen. This is for sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they sell their book.
And I think a lot of them are also wishful thinkers with the timeline for this to actually occur.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But
so
his suggestion is also that because of the particle wave theory, which is the idea that when observed, particles maintain their form as particles. If you launch a bunch of electrons, they will land in the way that you expect them to against a wall. This is like the double slit theory.
Yeah.
You gotta look into it. I can't really describe it all. But essentially, when they're not observed, they become waves.
yes, which is insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as crazy as religion, basically.
So Kaku suggests that quantum computers not only compute with atoms, they compute in parallel universes.
Right.
Our quantum computers that we have already developed,
Yes.
that aren't complete, but they can do certain things, calculate in parallel universes.
Well, I think that is one of the most compelling arguments. I wouldn't say against God,
Yeah.
but would make the existence of a God unnecessary.
Yeah.
To explain how the universe came to be, because there's I forget if I talked about this with you. Yeah, that's right. Me and your brother were talking about this in the apartment. I mean, even amongst scientists, physicists, Jesus Christ, we're trying to have a very serious intellectual conversation here.
I gotta keep it light.
Swear to God, yeah.
Dude, people either love
This is a comedy podcast.
People either love or hate the burps, dude. I had a friend come on. He's a friend of mine. He came on stage at a mic the other day after I was on and burped in the mic twice. And he was just like, I'm trying not to get angry at Nick for burping into this mic.
Yeah. Well, with the mic, too, you could get some germaphobes.
Yes.
Which doesn't really make sense, because you're blowing hot air either way.
I'm a germaphobe, too. I agree. It's like, you spit into the mic anyway, you have hot breath into the mic. Any smell is going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's like, people rest...
Some people...
Dude, what's way more gross, people rest the mic on their chin or, like, next to their lip. That's disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's filthy. A burp is fucking whatever.
Yeah, it is whatever. It actually, tonight I thought it was a smart move because it got people's attention immediately.
That's it's a great go-to on stage if no one's having fun, or even if just a joke bombs.
Yeah.
It's a great save.
Yeah.
To just
people
be
are like, oh...
Yeah,
he just burped into the fucking microphone.
It's completely unexpected, and it's just funny. Burps and farts are timelessly funny.
Well, I was going to interject. I am one of those people, for whatever reason. I'm innately grossed out by both of them.
Well, a fart I get because you're trapped in a room with the smell.
The scent.
And
but
it's
also,
like poop particles. That's disgusting.
It's what it makes you think about. It's like I've never been into potty humor, because anytime anybody brings up burps, farts, poop, pee, it puts that image in my brain.
Yeah.
Immediately, and it's something that grosses me because I'm like super sensitive.
Well, this is funny. I've never had a problem with burps. I've always had a problem,
Burps are the least offender.
Yes, if I got any
but
of
back
those
to
other
the universe.
things,
No.
if any of those other things happened in this room right now, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but if
you farted right now, I'd laugh, but I'd be like, open the door, turn on the fan.
Right, well, especially if I did it out loud.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I never really felt like I smelled burps until recently.
Somebody's got to be pretty close.
Somebody's got to be close, and it's got to be something real weird that they ate.
Yeah.
Like, if they ate garlic bread, sure.
I'm just a pretentious ladylike fuck.
No, some people are that way. I guess burps are crazy.
I like to burp under my breath. When I burp out loud, it makes me feel like a pig.
Yeah.
But I don't hard judge other people for
But it is funny.
It can be in certain contexts.
Especially, I always thought it was funny in like high school, the guy who could burp on command.
Well, even in middle school,
yeah.
I never learned how to do that.
I've figured it out in the last couple of years.
You're gonna have to teach me. What the fuck were we talking about? Okay.
Kaku, parallel universes.
With like, I forget up until like the advent of quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Most of the world's greatest scientists believed in God, or at least many of them did. Einstein was a big God believer.
Yes.
And they did so on, I think, some rational grounds. One of which is one of the oldest arguments for the existence of God, philosophical arguments, which is called the Kalam cosmological argument.
Yeah.
Which very simply states, kind of hard to argue with until quantum mechanics comes along, which is that, the universe seems to have begun to exist.
Yes.
Physicists have believed that for a long time, ever since, they proved the Big Bang.
Yeah.
That basically that before the Big Bang, there doesn't appear to be space, there doesn't appear to be time.
Yeah.
There doesn't appear to be anything at all. And then the Big Bang happens, and then you get into a bunch of abstract, tough questions to answer, which is like, well, what do you mean there was no space and time?
Yeah, what do you mean by nothing?
What do you mean by nothing?
How can there be existence in the first place with nothing there?
Well, Lawrence
existence Krauss, would be something.
The physicist Lawrence Krauss wrote a pop best-selling set called, I think it's called Something from Nothing or something like that. But right, how can you not have something before something? But basically, the Kalam cosmological argument would be, well, everything in the universe is a product of something that came before.
Yeah.
Right? You can break human beings down into atoms and subatomic particles and then into quarks and then eventually into just energy, right? Electromagnetism, gravity. And it's like, so whatever came before that has to be something that is totally outside of the laws of physics.
Yeah.
And it has to be something that was eternal. It had to be something that is not bound by the constraints of time.
Yes.
And so at that point, you're basically describing... It still doesn't have to be God. And then there's further arguments for how, all right, well, the universe seems to have been made with some type of design in mind. It seems to have an architectural bent, so it was probably a sentient being. But all of that goes out the window once you have the possibility, which we now think is the likely probability of parallel universe in quantum mechanics. Because by that logic... the same way, electrons can be in two different parallel universes simultaneously or whatever, the universe could have spawned off from, let's say, another universe. There could be an infinite system of parallel universes that have always been. There's nothing that came before them.
Yes.
The only reason why we even thought that something came before the universe is because we can trace our universe back to a very specific point in time.
Yeah.
If we couldn't trace it back to a point in time, then it could have been infinite.
Yeah.
But if what preceded that point in time was just some other universe, or infinite universes, then at that point... You can easily just believe something called pantheism, which is the belief that basically the universe is God.
Panpsychism.
Panpsychism?
I think.
I thought it was called pantheism.
Maybe they're similar concepts, I think. Panpsychism is the idea that everything is consciousness. Right,
which that I think is much less provable.
And that consciousness is a pervasive thing throughout all things.
That's something that I don't know if you could ever prove. I don't know if there's a way to prove that
we'd
atoms
have to be able
have
to,
consciousness.
We'd have to be able to define consciousness and also find the root of consciousness in humans.
But just basically being like, okay, the universe, by basically Occam's razor, right? The universe is fundamentally unexplainable and as objectively preposterous as a god.
Yeah.
Why would you need something equally unexplainable and preposterous to explain it?
Yeah.
Why be like, okay, there had to be a God who created the universe. Well, the universe could also be infinite.
And also, where would that God exist?
Right. I mean, and there's certainly no way to ever prove him or find him unless he reveals himself.
Yeah. I mean, the idea that there was ever something that created everything.
Yes.
That something is part of that something is a thing.
It's a thing, but it could be a thing that breaks the laws of physics. But again, even our modern understanding of the laws of physics gets into mysticism.
Yes.
We're never going to be able to fully understand how physics works. We might be able to quantify it on a mathematical level.
Yeah.
And even quantum mechanics, there's some inherent variance involved. Quantum mechanics isn't perfectly predictive.
Yeah.
Like some forms of mathematics.
I imagine, the way I see things, I mean...
I don't think it'll ever make sense to human beings, though.
No. It seems like the only thing that could be is that something has always existed, and this is everything that exists is part of that thing.
Yeah, that's what I think it probably is.
I can't imagine anything else.
But I identify as an atheist, and the only reason why I identify as an atheist is because I think that it's technically, like, by dictionary definition, it's what I believe, and it's what most atheists believe. Like,
yeah.
I am not a theist. I don't believe in a god at all. I don't have an absolute belief that there's no God, but that's not what atheism is. Agnosticism, to me, is just this sort of... It's this false, like, negative. It's this, like, separating itself from an atheism that was falsely defined to begin with.
Yeah, maybe.
It was developed by a guy named Thomas Huxley.
Do you know what Gnostic means?
Gnostic?
Yeah.
I know about, like, Gnostic monks and stuff.
Yeah, and I know about the concept of gnosis.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what it means.
Because that would be interesting, what the actual difference is etymologically.
Interestingly, Aldous Huxley, the great
yeah.
author who wrote Brave New World.
And The Doors of Perception.
The Doors of Perception. Shout out to The Doors, one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah. It was one of the earliest trials of mescaline in a human being, too.
Wow. People don't realize that The Doors is an abbreviation for The Doors of Perception.
No, yeah. Yeah, I learned about that early on when I was into taking acid.
Which makes the name of that band so much more sick.
Totally. Well, they were like one of the psychedelic bands. Like the real, like, we are committed to the psychedelic spiritual journey.
Yeah, even though they have a lot of just, like, pure rocker tunes.
Yeah.
Or, like, cool tunes.
Blood on the streets of New Haven.
Blood is of the stone.
You know that song that references New Haven, though?
No.
Oh, so he got arrested for jerking off on stage in New Haven.
I know that story.
And he got some song that's like, some, and the streets of New Haven.
God damn. Thugging out. And we are in, well, I'm not going to give your location.
No, we're
Connecticut. Near New Haven, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Aldous Huxley's father was a guy named Thomas Huxley.
Okay.
Thomas Huxley's nickname was Darwin's Bulldog.
Hmm.
Charles Darwin, I mean, so many scientists and religious people tried to poke holes in Charles Darwin's theories of it. They did not, and then the ones who couldn't poke holes, they just tried to block it from ever becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot ever have people accept evolution.
There's apparently a very good old black and white movie about the Scopes monkey trial.
I bet it is.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
Thomas Huxley was like a well-known public intellectual. He was like a Christopher Hitchens type guy. He basically went on the circuit and, like, is a big reason why Darwinism, he, like, pushed it through.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, for whatever random reason, he coined the term agnostic. So it's a relatively recent, it's a 20th century invention.
Interesting.
And it pisses me off because agnostic is just like the easiest, like, person who doesn't want to think about things.
Well, so is atheism. It's the same idea.
Yeah, but people, I find, I could be wrong, but in my opinion of talking to atheists and agnostics, I agree there's a subsect of people who call themselves atheists that are, like, really douchey.
I always figured agnostic is a way of separating yourself from them.
It is. It's also a way of just, I don't know. Most of the people I know who identify as agnostic, I guess you being an exception, because you probably identified as agnostic.
To not be lumped in with people who are,
right,
like, vehemently anti...
That's fair enough.
Theistic.
Yeah. I know a lot of agnostics that are just like, well, I've never thought about it and I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, fair.
You know? But there are also a lot of atheists who are equally dumb in the sense that they're like, well, I've thought about it and I've concluded that no way there's a God.
Yeah, really. I believe in science, not God.
Yeah. I believe in math.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what you believe in.
Yeah.
Magic.
There's so many people who are just like, there's no way there's a God, you fucking idiot, I'm an atheist.
Right.